card tipping is preservation. I mean, there's a little bit of my interest in glitch art and in modifying and upcycling, I guess, playing with these tools, like doing with them as you see fit, right? Like, break that warranty seal. It is your device. It does feed into the idea of preservation, right? Where it's like part of the important thing about preserving our history is having the appropriate context, right? Playing an NES game on an emulator does not capture the reality of playing an NES game in a cart. It does not tell you what it was like to have to flip this up, right? And if your game wasn't properly aligned, this would happen. Nothing about emulation tells you about this inherently, because when you play a game on an emulator, it's not gonna do this. There is no physical hardware connection to mess this up. What about emulating a game tells you that you need to, oh, what happens when it's blinking and you don't have a proper connection? Well, look, you wiggle back and forth and then you hit reset. Boom, it works. There was not a single person I knew growing up who had an NES who didn't know how to do that. If your only access to things is the digital equivalence of them, you're missing out on a key component. Which is why, like, all parts of it, like, this being here, being like streamed and talked about, is part of that historical context, which going forward, people who no longer have access to these things because they stop working can hopefully continue to contextualize, right? Because what happens, right? Like, if we want to make bit for bit recreations of things so people can reconstitute them in the future, it's not just bitwise comparisons. It's you have to know how this works in order to give people the proper context. Yeah, you miss your cards looking scuffed on screen. I actually run my Sega Genesis through an RF connector because it was one of my least played consoles, and it was at the end of my RF adapter chain, which meant that it had some of the worst looking visuals ever. But to me, that's how my Sega Genesis looked. It just always was that. So, and once again, we might have to. Do you guys understand what an RF chain of adapters is? Like a chain of RF adapters is, because that is something that you had to do. You had to plug, right? Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like an old man, and I don't want to be like the kids don't know, because some of the kids do really know. That is the physical context of these things being physical objects, and I don't know. It's important to be able to interact with them, right?